Hello everybody, how are you? I hope everything is fine. Well, today's lesson is about passive and active voice. It's a very important lesson because in a way, if you master this lesson, then you can almost double what you can produce and what you can comprehend. Alright? Now it's called passive and active voice. Well, the word voice doesn't mean the voice like my voice here, okay? It is grammatical voice. Means how subject and object are turned into each other. I'll try to very quickly explain what passive and active mean, and then we'll have some examples. Usually when you make a passive voice structure, there are some reasons. First, let me give you one example, okay? For instance, you can say, I opened the door. All right, so I is the subject, open is the verb, and then the door is the object. This is active. You want to turn it into passive, you can say the door was opened. If you want, you can say by me. The door was opened by me. So in a way, we have a shift of the doer and the receiver of that action, okay? In a way, you change the object of the structure into the subject of the, at least in the form of it. There are some reasons why we use passive voice. For instance, we don't know the doer of the activity. We don't know who has done that thing, okay? For instance, you can say, the bank was robbed yesterday. Now, who robbed the bank? We don't know. If you knew, then the police would just arrest them. Okay, so it's not clear. The doer of the activity, the subject is not clear. Okay, the bank was robbed yesterday. Oh, so this part of continuum. You can have the other side. You can say the doer is obvious. Everybody knows him or her. For instance, for those who believe in God, you can say God was the creator of everything. So you can say in a passive format, the universe was created millions of years ago by God. Okay, so if you want, you can say by God. If not, just leave it there. So who created the universe? Okay, it is obvious, again, according to the believers, that God created the universe. All right. So we don't know the subject, or the subject is quite obvious, or something in the middle. For instance, you don't want to mention the subject. Okay, my sister broke the window. Then you can say the window was broken by my sister, or you don't want to mention your sister. Okay, or sometimes you have mentioned the doer, the subject, so there's no need to mention it again. For instance, you say, a severe earthquake occurred yesterday. Many houses were totally demolished. Okay, so many houses were totally demolished by the earthquake. Okay, so because you have mentioned that before, then there is no need to mention it again. Okay, so this is called passive. How you transform an active voice into a passive one? Very simple. The formula is very short and simple. To be plus past participle means you need to conjugate the verb to be based on the tense and based on the subject, the new subject, the subject who used to be the object, and you're good. You remember that before in the other lessons I've always mentioned that knowing English tenses is important. How you can transform them to each other, change them to each other is important, and you can see it here vividly. You need to conjugate the verb to be for different tenses. Of course, let me mention here that not necessarily do you need the 12 tenses. Okay, so some tenses theoretically can be turned into passive, but there's no need. Usually native speakers don't use them. What I'm going to do is here right now do this theoretical thing. Okay, I'm going to conjugate the verb to be in the 12 tenses, and again, please remember that you don't need all of them. Just 7-8 tenses would do. So as you can see, we have forms of the verb to be when conjugated in 12 tenses. So we're going to conjugate as if be is a main verb. Okay, so we can always assume like that. So let's start. We have past simple, past perfect. You know, we've done it many times before. Okay, so what are the forms? As if you're you're conjugating the verb to be like a real, like a main verb. So past simple would be was and were, and then you have perfect would be had been, and then progressive was and were plus being. You know how you make progressive or continuous tense, and then you have the combination of these two, perfect progressive, which would be had been being. All right, and then we have present, simple, perfect, progressive, etc. Okay, so the simple would be am, is, are, and then for a present perfect, have or has plus been, and then for progressive, am, is, are, being, and then combination of these two, perfect progressive would be have or has been, being, and finally the future. Future simple will be, perfect will have been, and then progressive will be being, and then combination of these two, which would be perfect progressive, future perfect progressive will have been being. All right. So again, please remember that we usually don't need the perfect progressive of future or present or past to be turned into passive. Usually we don't have them, but theoretically, as you could see, we can always conjugate any verb. When you want to turn an active voice into the passive, just find the object of the sentence and bring it to the beginning and just drop the former subject, and then conjugate the verb to be based on the tense and the new subject, and then plus past participle of the main verb. Please be careful that sometimes the verb of the sentence cannot be turned into passive. Means they don't need any direct object. For instance, you say I'm going out. To go out does not need any object. All right. So I'm sitting down. Sitting down, you don't need any object. Okay. So these verbs cannot be turned into passive. We call them intransitive verbs. Okay. I will eat my dinner tonight. Okay, so my dinner will be eaten by me tonight. Okay, eat is a transitive verb, means it needs an object. All right, transitive versus intransitive verbs. And you say, I really recommend you to write down your structures and then turn them into each other. You have active. Write down an active sentence and then turn it into passive. Do it a few times and then you will master how you can turn these two into each other. So let's start with the different tenses, and I will make active and passive. I will make two for each, okay? Now, the first one is present simple, and then the active structure is they make cars in Japan. And we want to turn it into passive, so we find the object, which is cars, and then we bring it to the beginning of the structure, cars, and then you have to, the second stage is to conjugate the verb to be for the new subject and for the tense. For the tense, we have am, is, are, and new subject is cars, a plural one, so we use are. Okay, and then we need to add the PP form, the past participle form of the main verb, which is make. Make turns to made. Cars are made in Japan. All right, very simple. Just follow these 2 or 3 steps, and then you are good. Okay, so for the other examples, I won't explain. Okay, I just give you the active and passive forms. The company sells laptops worldwide. Laptops are sold worldwide. Then we have past simple. The teacher explained the lesson. The lesson was explained. If you want, you can add by the teacher. If not, just leave it there. Second example. Scientists discovered a new planet. A new planet was discovered by scientists. Future simple. They will finish the project soon. The project will be finished soon. The manager will announce the results tomorrow. The results will be announced tomorrow. Then present progressive. She's writing a letter. A letter is being written by her. If you want, you can add. If not, just leave it there. The students are preparing the presentation. The presentation is being prepared by the students. Then we have past progressive. They were repairing the road. The road was being repaired. They were watching the match on TV. The match was being watched on TV. Present perfect. He has completed the report. The report has been completed. The chef has cooked a delicious meal. A delicious meal has been cooked by the chef. Past perfect. They had finished the meal. The meal had been finished. The workers had completed the project before the deadline. The project had been completed before the deadline. And future perfect. She will have delivered the parcel. The parcel will have been delivered. The team will have finished the game by 10 p.m. The game will have been finished by 10 p.m. And then we have some modals. You can do active and passive with modals. Okay, I'll give you two examples, can and must. First, can. They can solve the problem. The problem can be solved. The second example, people can recycle glass bottles. Glass bottles can be recycled. And then must, you must follow the rules. The rules must be followed. Drivers must obey traffic rules. Traffic rules must be obeyed. Then we have negative, active, and passive. The teacher did not explain the lesson. The lesson was not explained by the teacher. The committee is not considering the proposal. The proposal is not being considered by the committee. They have not finished the project. The project has not been finished by them. You can add or just leave it there. She will not deliver the speech tomorrow. The speech will not be delivered by her tomorrow. The workers were not building the bridge. The bridge was not being built by the workers. They cannot solve the problem. The problem cannot be solved by them. People must not litter the parks in cities. The parks in cities must not be littered. Then let's have some question formats, okay, active and passive. Did the teacher explain the lesson? Was the lesson explained by the teacher? Is the committee considering the proposal? Is the proposal being considered by the committee? Have they finished the project? Has the project been finished by them? Will she deliver the speech tomorrow? Will the speech be delivered by her tomorrow? Were the workers building the bridge? Was the bridge being built by the workers? Can they solve the problem? Can the problem be solved by them if you want? If not, just leave it there. And let's have some WH word question formats, okay? As I mentioned before, you can almost have all active structures turned into passive, okay? So somehow you're doubling your production, which is very, very good. Okay. What did she write? What was written by her? Who broke the window? Who was the window broken by? When will they announce the results? When will the results be announced? Where are they holding the meeting? Where is the meeting being held? And you see, held is the past participle of hold. Why did he cancel the class? Why was the class canceled by him? How can they solve the problem? How can the problem be solved? Which book did she choose? Which book was chosen by her? And the last one, whom, which is used in formal dialogues. Whom did they invite to the party? Who was invited to the party by them? Okay. Very well. Okay, now it's time for a moment of the bias. Okay, I'm gonna use 6 most important tenses most frequent tenses in a way, okay, as well as the modals can and must. I'm going to give you the pictures that I will make for Imam of Tabez, okay, and then because I need two structures, let me write them on the let me write them down and then read them with the slide, okay, so that will be better and it will save time. Okay, behold, enters Khomeini with his Aftabeh. Now, the first one is a present simple. Active says Khomeini uses his aftabeh every night. Passive, his aftabeh is used by Khomeini every night. Then we have past simple. Active, Khomeini broke his aftabeh yesterday. Passive, his aftabeh was broken by Khomeini yesterday. Then future simple. Khomeini will fill up his aftabeh later. His aftabeh will be filled up by Khomeini later. Then present progressive. Khomeini is polishing his aftabeh now. His aftabeh is being polished by Khomeini now. Yeah, he was very careful about these details. Then past progressive. Khomeini was looking at his golden aftabeh when Hashemi arrived. His golden aftabeh was being looked at by Khomeini when Hashemi arrived. Next is present perfect. Khomeini has recently bought a digital aftabeh. A digital aftabeh has recently been bought by Khomeini. Then a modal, okay, so can. Khomeini cannot lift his bronze aftabehs easily. His bronze aftabehs cannot be lifted easily by Khomeini. And the last one, which is a modal must. Khomeini must lock all his aftabehs in a safe after using them. All his aftabehs must be locked in a safe after being used. Yeah, they did not trust their own eyes. Right? So that is how mullahs and of course their guru, Imam of Tabez was. You can, if you think you can have many more, but we don't have time for that right now. Very well, I hope you liked today's lesson. As I mentioned, please try to master all changes, and then in a way you can almost double your capacity of producing English sentences. As always, I'll give you a summary of what I talked about. Please try to practice them, okay, as many times as you like, and looking forward to seeing you soon. Until then, goodbye.